Alex was not the kind of person who liked crowds or busy places. He always enjoyed spending time alone, especially in the quiet corners of his small town. He lived near the edge of the forest, and many nights he would climb up the small hill behind his house to watch the stars. He loved radio equipment and spent hours building and fixing old radios. Sometimes, he picked up strange signals from far away, and he always dreamed that one day he might hear something no one else could. One evening, Alex decided to go for a walk after dinner. The sky was dark, filled with stars, and the air was cool and fresh. He brought his small radio along, hoping to catch some new signals. As he walked deeper into the woods, the radio began to make strange noises. Static at first, but then a pattern, almost like music from another world. Alex stopped and listened closely. He felt a little excited and a little nervous. The signal was getting stronger, pulling him forward. Suddenly, he saw a bright flash of light in the sky. At first, he thought it was just a shooting star, but then the light grew bigger and brighter, coming closer and closer until it almost blinded him. With a loud sound, something crashed not far from where he stood. Alex's heart beat fast as he slowly walked toward the place where the light fell. The trees were bent, and the ground was burned in a circle. In the center, he saw something that looked like a small silver pod, half buried in the earth, smoke rising from its side. Alex didn't know what to do. His hands shook a little as he stepped closer. The pod was making soft beeping sounds. Suddenly, a small door on its side slid open, and a figure stumbled out. Alex's eyes grew wide in shock. It was not a human. The being looked young, about his age, but with silver skin that seemed to shimmer even in the dark. Her eyes were large, and as she looked at Alex, their color changed from blue to green. She was wearing something like a simple suit, torn and dirty from the crash. She fell to her knees, clearly weak and frightened. Alex wanted to run, but something about the girl made him stop. She looked scared, just as scared as he was. She tried to speak, but the sounds were strange, words he didn't understand. He remembered his father always said, "Help those in need." So, Alex took a slow breath and stepped closer, kneeling down to her level and raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The alien girl looked at his hands, then at his face. Her breathing slowed, and she let out a small sigh. She tried to stand but fell back down. Alex quickly took off his jacket and gently wrapped it around her shoulders. She shivered, and he realized she was cold. Without thinking, Alex helped her up and supported her as they slowly made their way out of the woods. He glanced back at the pod, wondering if he should try to hide it, but the girl was too weak to wait. When they reached his house, Alex brought her quietly into the small shed behind his home. He was worried someone might see her and become afraid. He gave her a blanket, a bottle of water, and some crackers. At first, she only stared at the food, unsure what to do. But when she saw Alex take a bite, she tried too. Her hands shook, but she smiled, just a little, when she tasted the crackers. Alex sat with her, trying to make her comfortable. He pointed to himself and said, "Alex." She watched him and tried to copy the sound. "Alec." It was not perfect, but it made him laugh softly. Then he pointed at her, asking for her name. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she touched her chest and made a soft sound. "Lyra." Alex smiled and repeated, "Lyra." She nodded. Even though Alex was tired, he stayed awake most of the night, watching over Lyra as she rested. He felt a strange mix of feelings: fear, wonder, and a need to protect her. He knew she was far from home, in a world that could be dangerous for someone so different. He promised himself that he would not let anything happen to her. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, Lyra opened her eyes and looked at Alex. She smiled, weak but grateful. At that moment, Alex knew his life was about to change forever. He did not plan to find her, and he did not want to keep her against her will. But as he watched her, he realized that she trusted him, even if only. a little. And somehow, deep inside, he knew she would not leave his side. Not yet. Alex did not sleep well after the crash. He kept thinking about Lyra, the alien girl. He wanted to help her, but he did not know how much she could understand. The shed became their small world. Alex cleaned it a little, adding old blankets and a lamp that gave soft light. Lyra stayed mostly quiet. She watched Alex's hands when he fixed small things. She touched the radio carefully, like she knew it was special but did not want to break it. Alex tried to talk to her every day. He showed her simple things: a cup, a spoon, a picture of the sun, and his own face in a cracked mirror. He said the words slowly. "Cup," she repeated. "Cup." "Spoon," she tried. "Spun." He laughed softly and cheered. She liked his voice when he smiled. Alex also drew pictures in a small notebook. He drew a tree and pointed. "Tree." She touched the drawing with her long fingers, then looked outside, where the real trees swayed. She made a soft sound and pointed too. Alex realized she understood more than he first thought. Lyra was different from anyone Alex had seen. She did not eat like humans. At first, she sniffed the food, then touched it, then tasted a bit. She liked sweet fruits. She looked surprised when she saw rain hitting the ground and the little drops moving on the leaves. She held her hand up and let the water touch her skin. She smiled, a small, bright smile that made Alex feel warm inside. She touched his wrist, gently, like she was trying to say thank you in her own way. Alex wanted to know where she came from and why she was here. Lyra would sometimes look at the sky at night. Her eyes changed colors when she did. Blue, then purple, then a soft green. She would close her eyes and make a sound that was like a song. Alex tried to hum back. She listened and then made a different sound, and he felt it was her way of trying to speak to him. He started to learn her small language, some of the sounds, and the way she moved her hands when she felt something strong. Lyra, in turn, watched Alex carefully. She learned how he made the small fire in the old stove to warm the shed. She learned how he used his hands to fix the radio, and sometimes she touched the knobs with a soft curiosity. Alex showed her how to clean a small bowl. She followed slowly and did it right. When she succeeded, she looked up and gave him a careful smile. Alex felt proud. He whispered, "Good job, Lyra." She repeated it, "Good job," in her soft, broken voice, and her eyes grew bright. There were hard moments. Lyra suddenly froze and pulled away when a loud sound came from outside. A truck passed near the house, and its engine noise was heavy. She pressed her palms to her ears and made a low sound like a small cry. Alex held her hand and whispered, "It's okay." She looked at him, breathing hard, then slowly let go of the fear. Alex learned to watch for those moments. He became gentle in the way he moved around her. He would not shout. He spoke soft. Lyra began to trust that he would not hurt her. Alex tried to fix the small device that came from the pod. It was half broken, and the lights on it blinked in a pattern. He did not know its full function, but he believed it helped her travel or talk to her people. Lyra spent hours near it, touching the cold metal and sometimes laying her head near it as if she felt its hum. Alex read old books he had about radio waves and technology, trying to find something similar. He made small changes, using wires and parts from old radios. Sometimes the device would spark, and Lyra would gasp gently, then smile when the light stayed on a little longer. They built a small routine. In the morning, Alex brought simple food. Lyra would sit and wait. She learned the time when the sun was highest and would explore the small area of the shed while Alex worked. In the afternoon, they practiced words. Alex showed her a picture of a bird and said, "Bird." She tried to repeat "burr." She pointed to the sky and made a sound like the bird's call. Alex clapped and said, "Yes." She laughed, and the sound was new and bright, like a small bell. At night, They sat under the small window and looked at the stars. Lyra pointed to one star and made a soft sound. Alex pointed to the same star and said, "Star." She touched his hand and pressed gently, then looked at him with a soft shine in her eyes. Alex had a notebook where he wrote the words she learned. He drew the shape of her small sounds. He wrote next to each drawing the closest word in his language. He was not a teacher, but he wanted to help her speak more. Lyra watched the book with interest. Sometimes she would take his hand and place it on the picture, like she was asking him to read it. Alex would speak the word again, slow and clear. "Home." She looked away, her eyes sad for a moment. Alex did not push. He only held her hand and let her breathe. As days passed, Lyra started to share small things of her own. One evening, she took a small shiny stone from her pocket. It glowed faintly in her palm. She placed it on the table and closed her eyes. Then she touched Alex's shoulder gently and made a sound, soft and low. Alex touched the stone and felt a small warmth. He sensed it was a gift. He thanked her, but he had no words from her world. He held the stone carefully and kept it near his radio. Lyra smiled when she saw him protect it. She lifted her hand and the stone glowed a little brighter. Alex learned this was her way of saying she trusted him with something precious. The more time they spent together, the more their quiet world grew stronger. Alex's sister Maya sometimes came by to help with small chores. Maya did not know about Lyra at first. Alex only told her that he had a hurt animal friend he was caring for. Maya helped clean the shed and brought fresh water. She saw how Lyra watched her with careful eyes, not afraid after some time. Maya began to talk to Lyra in small words, and Lyra would repeat some of them, laughing. The laughter grew wider when Maya showed her a small flower. Lyra touched the petals and made a soft sound that made Maya smile and then hug Alex quietly, happy that he was not alone. One afternoon, Alex found Lyra sitting outside the small shed. She had a small cloth in her hands and was making lines in the dirt. The marks were not like his drawings. They were smooth and gentle. Alex sat beside her and watched. Lyra offered her hand and placed it on his. She made a sound, and Alex placed his finger on the lines. He felt a small vibration under the dirt, like a quiet heartbeat. He did not understand fully, but he knew it was something from her memory, something that was safe. He touched her shoulder and said softly, "You are safe." She smiled and leaned her head on his shoulder for a moment. Each small connection made the fear leave both of them a little. Lyra learned that Alex would not leave her alone at night. Alex learned that she could be calm when the world was loud, if he was near. They both changed. Alex started to think about the future. He knew the world outside would notice soon. He also knew that Lyra was not just a visitor. She had feelings, hope, and a quiet strength. She had come alone, but she was not lonely anymore. Alex looked at her one night as she slept with her hand resting on the small device. He whispered, "I will find a way." Lyra's fingers moved, a little, and she smiled in sleep like she heard him. Their trust was not perfect, but it was growing. The accident that brought Lyra to Earth had become a bridge between two lives. Alex did not plan to keep her forever. He only wanted to help her. But somewhere in his heart, he felt that helping her might become the most important thing he had ever done. Days passed, and the small world Alex and Lyra built began to face cracks from outside. Alex tried to keep their life quiet, but secrets are hard to hold when people talk. One morning, Maya came running to the shed, her face pale and breath fast. She pulled Alex outside before he could ask. "You need to see this," she said, pointing toward the field behind their house. In the distance, a group of men were walking toward the shed. They were not from the town itself. One was in a dark jacket with a camera bag, another had a small radio like Alex's, and the third wore a badge from the county office. Alex's stomach tightened. He had not told anyone the full truth. He looked back at the shed where Lyra sat quietly, watching the light move across the dirt floor. Alex swallowed and motioned for Maya to keep calm. The men stopped near the fence. The one with the badge raised a hand and spoke in a voice that tried to sound calm. "Are you Alex?" he asked. Alex stepped forward. "Yes," he said. "I'm Alex. What is this about?" The man with the camera looked around, then pointed at Alex's house. "We got a call from someone. They saw a light and heard odd signals. We came to ask questions. Have you seen anything strange?" Alex thought fast. He did not want to put Lyra in danger, but he knew lying might bring worse trouble. He said, "I saw light in the woods. I went to look. I found something. I don't know what it is yet." The man with the radio lifted it and turned it on. Strange sounds came out, low and sharp. Lyra heard the noise from inside and froze. Her hands went to her ears, and she made a low sound of fear. Alex stepped back and held up his hand. "Please," he whispered. The man with the badge looked toward the shed. "We need to see more," he said. "We have to check for safety." Alex's heart beat hard. He moved slowly toward the shed. "Please," he said again, softer. He opened the door gently. Lyra sat on the old crate, her eyes wide. She saw the men and felt the cold shape of fear. She stood, her small body tense, and looked at Alex. Alex raised both hands like before, showing he meant no harm. He walked to her and stood between her and the men. The man with the camera stepped forward, and Maya quietly stepped beside Alex. The man with the badge lifted his voice. "We need to bring that being out. We have to know what you are hiding." Lyra's breathing became fast. She looked at Alex, then at the strangers. She remembered the crash, the pain, and how the forest sound once made her afraid. Now she felt the world closing in again. Alex reached out slowly and touched her arm. She hesitated, then let him guide her forward. She stood before the men. She did not run. She looked at each of them with her color-changing eyes. They turned soft blue, then green, then a pale gold. She made a small sound, and the men lowered their eyes for a moment, unsure what to do. The man with the badge asked, "What is your name?" Alex stepped forward, pointing to Lyra and saying, "Lyra." She listened, then touched her chest and said the name again, her voice quiet but clear. "Lyra." The man with the camera looked surprised. "She understands you?" he said. Alex nodded. "A little." The man with the badge pulled out a small paper and wrote notes. "We have to take her for study," he said slowly. "This could be something not from here. We must protect people. We can't leave unknown things alone." Maya shook her head. "She is not a danger," she said. Her voice was soft but strong. "She is quiet. She only wants help." The man with the radio held up the device and said, "We heard a pattern from this. It is not like any known signal. This could be important." At that, Lyra stepped back a little. Fear grew again like a shadow in her eyes. Alex lifted his voice. "She came from the sky. She is not here to hurt. She is tired and lost. Please give us time. Let me help her talk." The man with the badge looked at Alex and then at Lyra. He saw her hands shaking, her small body trying to stay calm. He wanted proof. He asked, "Can she show something? Can she show she is not a threat?" Lyra looked around. She saw the small radio in Alex's hand. She stepped closer and reached out, touching it gently. The radio made a quiet sound. She turned and looked at the men. Her eyes held a calm, and she pointed to the sky. She made a soft sound that was like a question. Alex knew she meant she came by accident. He said, "She did not choose this place. The crash was not her plan. She wants to find a way home, or at least to be safe." The man with the camera lowered his device and said, "If she stays, People will talk. They will be afraid. We could lose control of this. The man with the badge sighed. We can bring a team. We can keep her safe and find out more. We can let her stay here for a short time under watch. Alex felt the weight of choice pressing on him. He did not want Lyra taken away. He saw how she watched him, how she trusted him enough to stand where the others stood. He said, "She trusts me. She will be scared if you take her away now. Give me 2 days. Let me try to show you she is not a danger. After that, if you still need to help her, you can." The man with the badge looked at Maya, then at the records in his paper. He nodded slowly. 2 days, he said. But if anything strange happens, we take action. The men left with a promise to return. Word moved faster than they expected. One of the men shared news with a sheriff in the next town. Soon, strangers came to peek from the road. Rumors mixed with fear and curiosity. Some people said it was a trick. Others said it was a sign of something big. Alex could feel the eyes watching from afar. He kept Lyra inside the shed more. He covered the small window with cloth and tried to keep the light soft. Lyra sensed something was wrong. She watched Alex move with a harder look, and sometimes her hand went to her chest when she felt the tension. Maya stayed close. She brought more food and sat with Lyra while Alex worked on the device. She told small stories about the town, about the people, and how the sun changed with the seasons. Lyra listened and smiled. She started to show more small signs of trust by reaching for Maya's hand. The two of them would sit and hum soft sounds together. The hums mixed like two quiet rivers meeting. The news grew. A small paper reporter came one day, asking questions in a soft voice. Alex told her little truth and little story. He said he found something strange in the woods. He showed the paper the items he had, the broken pod piece, and the device. She wrote quickly, her eyes watching Lyra from the corner. Lyra, curious, stepped out and looked at the paper. The reporter's face changed from worry to interest. She asked gently, "What is your name?" Lyra pointed at herself and said, "Lyra." The reporter smiled and wrote more. Some people started to come with small gifts. An older woman brought herbal tea, thinking it might help Lyra relax. A boy from school brought a small toy boat and Lyra watched it float in a puddle with care. Others kept distance, whispering about what might happen if the government came back. Alex felt pulled from all sides. He needed to keep Lyra safe, but he also needed to show others she was not a weapon. The 2 days passed like a storm waiting to break. On the second night, Lyra sat quietly, looking at the small stars through the cloth window. Alex stayed near her. He asked softly, "Are you okay?" She turned her head, her eyes slow blue, and touched his arm. She made a soft sound, and Alex said, "I know. We will face this together." Outside, the wind moved the trees, and somewhere, far, a car engine hummed low. Alex closed his eyes and thought of the promise. He knew the next day would change everything. The sun rose, and the day came when the men would return. Alex felt the weight in his chest. He had kept Lyra safe for 2 days. He had shown small signs to the town. Some people had begun to hope. Others watched with worry. Alex cleaned the shed carefully. He fixed the small device a little more. It still did not work right, but the light inside it glowed softer now when Lyra touched it. The men came back with more people. There was the man with the badge, the cameraman, and a quiet woman with a tablet. Behind them walked 2 others in plain clothes. They looked serious. The man with the badge spoke first. "We came to follow up. We want to learn more. We will be careful." Alex nodded. He led them slowly to the shed. Lyra sat on the crate, her hands folded, watching the door. When she saw the group, her eyes changed color, light green, then gold. She stood and walked to Alex. He touched her shoulder gently. She stayed close. The woman with the tablet asked Alex to tell the story again. Alex spoke slowly. He said how he heard the signal in the woods, how the pod crashed, how he carried Lyra here, and how she had nothing but fear when she came. The man with the badge looked at Lyra. He asked her again, "What is your name?" She touched her chest and said, "Lyra." The quiet woman spoke softly to him. "Let her choose. Give her time." The man with the badge looked unsure. The cameraman turned on his device and moved closer. Alex held his breath. Then the man with the badge lifted his hand and asked, "Lyra, do you want to go with us?" She looked at Alex. For a moment, her eyes dimmed like she was thinking of the dark crash and the strange lights of the pod. She opened her mouth and made a sound. It was not perfect English, but it came out clear enough. "Stay." Alex felt something sharp move inside him. He did not expect her to speak like that in front of others. The men were quiet. The woman with the tablet wrote quietly. The cameraman lowered his device a little. The man with the badge asked, "Why, stay?" Lyra looked around and then looked at Alex. She lifted her hand and pointed to her heart, then pointed to Alex, then to the town people who had come close but stayed back. She made another sound, slow and soft, and the woman with the tablet translated a little. "She says you saved her. She feels safe. She does not know if home is safe now." Alex stepped forward. He added, "She trusts me. She chooses to stay here. She is not hiding. She is choosing." Some of the watching people nodded. Others whispered. The quiet woman asked, "Does she understand what staying means? Does she know she might not go back?" Lyra looked at her. She closed her eyes, then opened them. She touched her head and made a sound like thinking. She lifted her hand and pointed to the sky, then to Alex, then to the ground, and then to her chest. The woman with the tablet said, "She says she remembers falling. She fears the dark space again. Here she has people who care. She is afraid to go alone." The man with the badge looked at Alex with a new view. He saw the fear, but also the care in Lyra's face when she looked at Alex. The group stopped for a moment. The man with the badge whispered to the quiet woman. They spoke in low voices. Alex kept his eyes on Lyra. She stood still, her hands relaxed. Her eyes were soft blue now. She touched the small device beside her. It gave a faint hum. The woman with the tablet placed her hand gently on Lyra's wrist and said, "We can help. We can do tests. We will not hurt. We want to know if she can live safe." Lyra looked at the man with the badge. She slowly nodded. Alex felt the fear. Again, not from Lyra, but from the world taking her choice away. The man with the badge spoke louder. "We can make a safe place here," he said. "We will watch. We will learn. If she wants to go later, we will help. But first, we have rules. We will not separate her from the person she trusts. We will keep Alex close. We will not force her." Alex looked at Lyra. She reached for his hand and held it. Her fingers were warm. She squeezed once, then let go. The man with the badge turned to Alex. "Will you help? Will you be with her while we do our work?" Alex nodded, voice low but firm. "I will not leave her." The people with the group took small steps. They set up a small area in the shed to keep the tests calm. The cameraman did not use his big lens. He kept it quiet so Lyra would not feel watched. The quiet woman talked to her, asking simple questions, showing drawings and letting Lyra choose the answers by pointing and making sounds. The two plain-clothed men checked the area and spoke with Maya, who came to help. Maya stood near Lyra and smiled, giving her small flowers as gifts. Lyra touched the petals and gave a small sound that made Maya laugh. The test time went slow. Lyra learned new words. The woman with the tablet taught her the word choice. Lyra repeated, "Choi." She tried again. Choice. She looked at Alex and said, "Stay." Alex's eyes got wet, but he kept calm. She then pointed to the sky and made a soft sound. Home. Alex knew she still held the memory of her place. The man with the badge asked gently, "If you could go, would you?" Lyra looked at the sky, then at Alex, then at the town people, and softly said, "Not now." The man with the badge nodded. The group left the shed slowly, promising to come back with more gentle steps. News traveled faster now. Some in town felt relief. They liked that Lyra had chosen. Others still watched. A few came to leave small gifts. A boy brought a broken toy. He fixed, knowing she liked small moving things. The older woman brought a warm blanket. Lyra accepted the gifts with quiet thanks. Alex kept a small smile, but he could feel the pressure outside like heat on cold metal. That night, Lyra and Alex sat together. The small device glowed a little more. Lyra placed her head on the crate and whispered in her soft way, "Thank you." Alex touched her hair gently. He whispered, "You chose. I am with you." She lifted her hand and placed it on his book of words. She looked at the pictures and then at him. She made the sound again. Home. Alex nodded. "We will make a new safe place," he said. She pressed his hand and closed her eyes. The choice had been made, but the world was not quiet. The story of Lyra stayed in the air like a song with notes that changed. Alex and Lyra knew the next steps would be harder. There would be more questions. There would be more eyes. But in the quiet of the shed, they both held the same truth. She had chosen to stay, and he had chosen to stay with her. Time passed slowly after the choice. People from town came more often, but many still held back. Some came with questions, others with small acts of care. Lyra learned the routine. She learned more words. She could now say simple things like rain, friend, and safe. Alex kept writing her new words in the notebook. The notebook filled with sounds and small drawings of things she liked. When she saw something new, she would point and ask, and Alex would smile and tell her the word. Lyra started to help too. She cleaned the shed carefully, moving her hands in soft, slow motions. She helped Maya plant small flowers outside the shed. She touched each leaf and watched the dirt settle. The flowers grew, and people began to call that place Lyra's little garden. Children came sometimes, bringing small toys and showing her how to spin the tops. She laughed, and the top would wobble and fall. Then she would pick it up and try again. The sound of her laughter became a part of the town's quiet mornings. The men who came before returned, but less often. The woman with the tablet came with a small man from a research office. He watched carefully, but he did not rush. He saw how Lyra looked when Alex was near and how she moved when she felt calm. He spoke softly to Alex and said, "You gave her a place to breathe. We will keep the promise. No tests that scare. We watch and help only if she wants." Alex nodded. He felt tired, but he also felt stronger. He knew the world outside still held questions, but Lyra's calm made it easier to face them. Lyra kept learning. She learned to read the simple shapes Alex drew. She would trace a circle and point to the sky, and Alex would say, "Star." She learned the word home better. She said it with soft sound, then added, "Here." The two words together meant something new. She had a memory of a far place, but she had a place now where people cared. Sometimes she would sit outside at night with Alex and Maya. Alex would point to the stars and tell her stories about the town. Maya told her about the festival when the town had lights and music. Lyra listened, eyes shining, and she tried to say the word light. It came out close and slow. Light. They all laughed, gentle and warm. Word kept moving. A reporter from the small paper wrote a quiet story that did not scare people. She wrote about trust, about a strange visitor who chose to stay with the human who saved her. The story did not say dangerous. It said hope. More people came. Some came to watch. Some came because they wanted to learn how to help. A teacher from the school brought picture books. Lyra liked the pages with animals. She pointed and made soft sounds that matched the animals, and the children clapped. Slowly, the fear lessened. Some older men who first whispered in the market started to nod when they passed the shed. Lyra still had nights when the past touched her. Sometimes she would wake suddenly, eyes wide, and her body would stiffen. Alex would sit with her, holding her hand, and whisper calm words. She would breathe deep, and slowly the shapes in her mind would fade. When she felt safe again, she would touch his cheek with her fingers, a small human gesture she learned, and say his name. Alex. He kept the promise inside, and he never left her alone when she needed him. One morning, Alex and Maya heard loud voices outside. A small group of new people had come. They were from the county, not the first team. They had papers and questions. The man in charge looked at the garden, at the flowers, then at the shed. He did not rush in. He stood with the others and watched, Lyra playing with a child. The child offered her a small wooden bird. Lyra took it carefully, turned it over, and then gave a small gift back, one of her own small glowing stones, wrapped in a cloth. The man with the papers saw that, and his face softened a little. He came in slowly, and Alex walked with him. They spoke in quiet voices. The man asked about her. Alex told him the truth. He told how the first team came, how Lyra chose, and how the safe promise was made. The man looked at Lyra. She was sitting on the floor, drawing lines in the dirt with her finger. Her eyes changed to soft green when she saw him. The man asked, "Does she want to stay?" Lyra looked up, then at Alex, then raised her hand and said, "Stay." The man looked back at Alex, then at Lyra, and nodded. He said, "We will keep watching, but we will not take her. The town will help. We will write the agreement." The promise felt heavy, like a new layer of trust, but it also felt like a shield. As months went by, Lyra and Alex made small plans. They did not rush. The idea of building something better for her grew. Alex fixed the small device more. It still did not work like before, but now it glowed steadier. Lyra was not sad when she touched it. She touched it with a calm hand and then smiled at Alex. Sometimes she would lift the device and point to the sky, and Alex would say, "One day." She would nod, slow and sure. The town changed too. Some people brought Lyra small foods she liked. A boy who sold bread gave her soft rolls. An older woman brought woven cloth for her to wear when the nights were cold. Lyra tried to dress simply. She wore the cloth with quiet pride. She would help the children learn her small words. They repeated them like games. The children called her Lyra Friend. She liked the sound. She added the word friend to her book, and Alex wrote it beside her picture. Then one evening, a storm came fast. Rain hit hard, and wind moved the trees. The shed shook with the sound of water. Lyra was afraid. She clutched the blanket and looked outside. Alex lit the small lamp and sat with her. Maya brought hot tea and sat near the door. The rain hit long and loud. Lyra held Alex's hand and whispered, "Safe." Alex touched her fingers and said, "Always." After the storm passed, they went out. The garden had lost some flowers, but the roots stayed. Alex and Lyra worked together to fix the broken pieces. People came to help, carrying new soil and small seeds. The storm showed them that the place could break, but it also showed them that they could fix it together. The story of "I didn't mean to capture her" changed into something new. It was not about the accident only. It was about choice care, and building a life when things were broken. Lyra had a small space in the town. She had more words, more friends, and a quiet strength that grew when she helped others. Alex still looked at the stars and thought of her home. Lyra would sit beside him, and she would point to one star and whisper, "Home." Then she would touch his hand and say, "Here." In the slow evening light, the two of them watched the small world they made. The end was not a full stop. It was a step forward. Lyra had chosen to stay. Alex had chosen to be with her. The town had chosen to accept her, not because she was strange, but because she was kind and real. They all walked forward, not knowing the full future, but holding the promise together.